Coming out together, a Wildcard X Danwell Editon fanfic by M. Page. It had been nearly 15 months since Talzado reunited with his friends and celebrated hearts-warming together. In those months, he and his friends Wildcard and Danwell Editon would hang out whenever they got the chance, and sometimes went on crazy adventures together. They all managed to grow accustomed to Ponyville in one way or another. Talzado still lives in his fancy mansion, of course, but he decided that whenever he needed to go to Ponyville, he would most likely walk there instead of teleporting, so he can get a good view of the scenery as well as get some exercise. Wildcard couldn't exactly leave Cloudsdale behind. He had a job on the weather team, and he really didn't want to leave his mother alone with no pony to look after her. Despite this, he does go to Ponyville whenever he gets the chance, whether it's to buy food and supplies at the market, or just to hang out with his friends. Danwell, or Dan for short, actually managed to find himself a home in Ponyville, and he continues his work in movies. He's well known locally for shooting a couple of indie projects, as well as some great audio editing work. Today is Hearts and Hooves Day, and Wildcard took a stroll around Ponyville. He noticed many couples on his path, straight couples, gay couples, pony and griffin couples, you name it. He also peeked into Sugar Cube Corner to find Pinkie Pie and the Cake family hard at work, baking lots of tasty confections for the lovers in their shop. Wildcard was happy to see so many other ponies happy, but it also made him rather nervous. Today was the day he was going to admit his true feelings to his crush. Wildcard was in love with his pony for a while now and really wanted to start a relationship. He's really excited about finally getting the chance to tell the truth and hide nothing more from his pony, but at the same time he was really scared. Wildcard had been friends with his pony for years, and was worried that if he tried to take things further, it would ruin what they already had. There were many what-if statements in his mind, some positive, some negative, regarding the outcome of what he was about to do. One thing that kept him going was one what-if statement that stood out among the rest. What if this love is mutual? Today was the day he would find out, once and for all. Wildcard trotted up to Danwell's house and knocked on the door. Since they were single stallions, they decided to hang out together and do stuff today to battle the crippling depression most single stallions usually experience on Hearts and Hooves Day. Danwell answered the door looking quite happy to see his friend today. "Hey Wildcard, glad you can make it," he said. Wildcard was happy to see Danwell as well. "Of course, Dan," Wildcard replied. "I wouldn't dare miss something like this." They spent the next few hours hanging out at Danwell's house. They played board games because they were bored, of course. They listened to some cool new music that their favorite artist had just released. This artist was really famous for making songs about scary robots, killer cartoon characters, and the adventures of some superhero with a cup for a head. They also drank a beverage called Dr. Pony, which is the brand name for one of the many types of beverages known as soda. This soda was purchased from some new shopkeep in the Ponyville market who imported goods from Griffinstone. Wildcard was lucky this particular importer came to Ponyville, considering his past history with the Griffins. After some time, they started running out of things to do, and sat next to each other on the couch trying to come up with new things to talk about. "Now's my chance," Wildcard thought to himself, as he got a good look at Danwell. "Hey," Wildcard said to get Danwell's attention. "Do you know why my mane and tail are rainbow-colored?" Danwell pondered the question for a moment, and Wildcard noticed how cute he looked whenever he did that thinking pose. "It's because you're a fan of Rainbow Dash, right?" Danwell replied. Ever since they were kids, they remembered how awesome Rainbow Dash was. From Weather Pony to Element of Harmony to Wonderbolt, she always seemed like a really cool mare. "Yeah," Wildcard continued, "that's why I got the dye job years ago. But the truth is, I kept it because it also means something else." Danwell looked at Wildcard intently with full attention, silently urging Wildcard to elaborate, which he did. "You know the LGBT? What am I saying? Of course you're aware of them. With so many mares here, I'm really surprised that they didn't start becoming lesbians at some point." Wildcard's observation made Danwell smile, as if he was holding back a laugh or something. "That's good," he thought to himself. "Using humor as an icebreaker was a smart move. Hopefully this will make the rest easy." "Dan," he carried on, "the truth is, I'm bisexual." Daniel's muzzle was left agape for a moment from how surprised he was at this revelation. Wildcard assumed he was still paying attention and carried on. The reason I didn't tell any pony was because I didn't want other ponies to think I was weird. I've actually had a crush on one stallion in particular for a few months now, and I'm not even sure if he likes stallions that way, let alone me. Daniel shook his head for a moment and began to reply. "What's this stallion like?" he asked. "He's a really nice guy," Wildcard began to explain. "He lives on his own, explores many opportunities, and loves to make his friends happy." Daniel became curious. "What's his name?" he asked. Wildcard began to look away and scratch the back of his head with his hoof. I don't know if I should tell you," he replied. "Why not?" Come on, tell me." "Promise me you won't freak out?" "Cross my heart, hope to fly, stick a cupcake in my eye," he said while doing the motions. "Okay," Wildcard relented. "But I can't tell you out loud, you'll have to come closer." Daniel scooched himself towards Wildcard's side of the couch. "Closer," he urged, and Daniel understood. He moved himself closer to Wildcard so that his face would be lined up with his muzzle, because he was expecting him to whisper the name of the mystery stallion in his ear. Instead, Wildcard did something that Daniel did not expect. He smooched Daniel on the cheek. They both started blushing, to the point where it was clearly visible on their faces. Wildcard's wings stiffened and straightened out because he managed to shock himself with how bold of a move he managed to make. But more than anything, he was afraid. He had gone so far, he was past the point of no return, and he was afraid he may have lost one of his best friends. "I'm sorry," Wildcard finally spoke up after about a minute of awkward silence. I made things really uncomfortable, didn't I? I don't know why I thought that was a good idea. I should probably get out of here." Wildcard was unexpectedly cut off by Daniel kissing him on the lips. His front legs wrapped around the back of Wildcard's neck. After a few seconds, Wildcard managed to calm down and return the kiss, wrapping his front legs around Daniel's back. They spent the next minute and a half kissing passionately with their eyes closed, until their lips finally separated so they could breathe some precious oxygen. Wildcard wanted to ask why Daniel did that, but all that came out of his mouth was a mess of stuttering and gibberish. "To be honest," Daniel said, "I spent the last year of my life playing for the other team. I kept it hidden from other ponies for the same reasons you did. But also because I was afraid to admit that I had a crush on you too." "Wait, so all this time you..." Wildcard didn't know how to finish that sentence. He had no idea that the whole time he was fearing rejection from one of his best friends ever, Daniel had feelings for him as well, that he was afraid to talk about. Until now. "Yeah," Daniel continued. "You're a very open and honest pony. You love helping others with their problems and making them happy, including your mom. And also, I kinda like the way you fly." "The way I fly?" "Yeah, it's like straight and speedy when you need to, and also graceful and majestic at a leisurely pace." "Wow, I had no idea some pony actually liked my flying skills. I thought the things I did were just natural Pegasus stuff." "Whether they are or not, I'm still quite impressed. Sometimes I like to imagine myself somehow being able to grab onto your body and never let go as we fly around the night sky together." Wildcard never knew that Daniel felt that way about him. After everything that's happened today, he knew that he had made the right decision. All that remained was to ask him if he was ready for this level. "That actually sounds beautiful, Dan," he began. "Oh, and Dan?" Daniel's ears perked up. "Yeah?" Wildcard looked Daniel in the eyes. There was no going back. "Will you be my special sun pony?" he asked. "I was about to ask you the same thing," Daniel replied, emphasizing his statement with a boop to Wildcard's nose. Wildcard blushed slightly at his touch, feeling all tingly inside, and as though it were required by the sacred laws of boopage, he booped Daniel back. When he got booped, Daniel made a cute squeaking noise that almost sounded like a little kitten going meow. Wildcard smiled to the point of almost crying happy tears because he found that sound to be so adorable. Before they knew it, nighttime happened. As Luna's moon rose, the streets of Ponyville were filled with pony couples finding their way home after gazing at Celestia's sunset. Wildcard already told his mother he was going to spend the night at his friend's house, so he didn't have to go home tonight. For the first time as a couple, Wildcard and Daniel slept in the same bed together. Since Danwell wanted to save money on the heating bill at night, they snuggled together for warmth. They found the spooning position to be preferable, as Wildcard enjoyed the feeling of hugging something fluffy, and Danwell felt comfortable in the hooves of his lover. They slept peacefully that night, knowing that when they wake up the next day, it will be the beginning of a great new chapter in their lives.